For 3,000 years, the desert wind whispered a warning that no one wanted to hear. It spoke of a tomb that did not hold a corpse, but a prisoner. But humanity has a short memory, and ambition is a loud voice. It was in the dead of a moonless night when the silence of the Mesopotamian dunes was broken, not by a storm, but by two shadows seeking a darkness darker than the night itself. Alara and Jax. They were not ordinary tomb raiders. They were awakeners, beings gifted with powers they did not understand, believing that the modern world had grown soft, weak, and corrupt. They sought a reset button. They sought him. Alara, her eyes glowing with a faint, technological violet hue, placed her hand against the massive obsidian seal buried deep beneath the sand. She didn't use a key. She used her mind to pick the lock of ancient magic, unweaving spells laid down by sorcerers whose bones had long turned to dust. Beside her stood Jax, a mountain of a man, his skin humming with seismic energy. He didn't care for the history. He only wanted the weapon inside. The stone groaned. The earth trembled, not in anger, but in fear. The seal cracked. The air that rushed out of the tomb was not stale. It was freezing. It smelled of ozone and ancient blood. They descended into the black, their footsteps echoing in a chamber designed to suppress all sound. And there, suspended by chains of cold iron over a bottomless pit, sat the sarcophagus. "Wake him," Jax grunted, his voice thick with impatience. Alara hesitated. For a moment, her modern arrogance faltered before the sheer weight of the aura bleeding from the stone box. But she pushed the fear down. She shattered the final ward. The explosion of force knocked them both to the floor. The lid of the sarcophagus did not slide off. It disintegrated. From the swirling dust and shadows, he rose. Malachur, the doom of the old world. He looked exactly as the terrifying legends whispered. He wore the tattered remnants of a black cowl, an old, military-style cap that cast a jagged shadow over his face. His skin was the color of gray ash, stretched tight over muscles that looked like carved granite. But was the eyes that froze Alara's heart. Two burning suns of crimson rage. No pupils, no merci, just the red light of the apocalypse. Malachur inhaled, his chest expanding like a bellows. He looked at the two humans before him. He did not see saviors. He saw insects. "You have woken the storm." Malachur's voice was the sound of grinding stones. "Now, you will drown in the rain." He did not thank them. He simply raised a hand, and the very life force of the tomb, the fungi, the moss, the residual magic, flowed into him. He grew larger, his muscles swelling, the air around him distorting with heat. He looked up, through the rock, through the sand, toward the sky he had been denied for centuries. He launched himself upward, shattering the roof of the world, leaving Alara and Jax to scramble in his wake, terrified followers of God who promised only death. Miles away, in a city of glass and light that scraped the clouds, the air raid sirens began to scream. This was a metropolis of the future, a testament to human peace and ingenuity. And watching over it, from the spire of the highest tower, stood Hyperion. He was the answer to the world's prayers. Clad in a suit of gleaming, shifting blue biometal, he was a statue of perfection brought to life. His cape flowed like liquid water in the wind. Where Malachur was ash and death, Hyperion was cobalt and hope. He was strong, not with the grotesque bulk of a monster, but with the refined power of a guardian. His helmet's display flashed red. An energy signature had just appeared on the radar that defied classification. It was raw, archaic, and infinitely dangerous. "Computer," Hyperion's voice was calm, a steady anchor in the rising panic. "Identify." "Unknown entity," the AI responded. "Origin, pre-cataclysmic era." "Threat level, extinction." Hyperion didn't hesitate. He didn't ask for backup. He knew that some fights were too heavy for ordinary shoulders. He bent his knees, the blue armor humming with kinetic potential, and launched himself into the sky. He was a streak of azure light cutting through the clouds, racing toward the pillar of black smoke rising from the desert horizon. He met the villain in the air, directly over the city limits. The impact of their meeting cleared the sky of clouds for 10 miles. Malachur floated there, the black cap shading his burning eyes, his arms crossed over his massive chest. He looked at the gleaming city, then at the shining blue hero. He sneered. "Shiny metal," Malachur spat. "Hiding soft flesh." "Stand down," Hyperion commanded, hovering with fists clenched. "This era is not yours to conquer." Malachur laughed. It was a cruel, sharp sound. "I do not conquer. I unmake." The battle that followed was not a fight. It was a natural disaster. Malachur struck with the force of a meteor, his fists glowing with dark energy. Hyperion countered with precision and speed, his blue suit absorbing the blows and redirecting the kinetic energy. Shockwaves shattered the glass of empty office buildings. The sky turned violet with the clash of their powers. But Hyperion was not fighting one enemy. From below, Alara and Jax had arrived. Alara screamed, her mind reaching out to short-circuit the electronics in Hyperion's suit, causing his flight stabilizers to flicker. Jax slammed his hands into the earth below, hurling massive debris into the air to distract the hero. Hyperion was cornered. He took a devastating blow to the chest from Malachur that cracked his pristine armor. He tumbled backward, crashing through a suspension bridge, grit and steel raining down. He hovered there for a moment, breathing hard, blood trickling inside his helmet. He looked at the three of them, the ancient monster and his two misguided disciples. He realized he could not beat them with brute force. Malachur was too strong, and as long as Alara and Jax were there, he was outnumbered. If this fight continued in the city, millions would die. Hyperion made a choice. The choice of a true hero. He wouldn't fight to win. He would fight to sacrifice. Hyperion wiped the blood from his lip. The blue glow of his suit intensified, shifting from a defensive pulse to a blinding, overcharged radiance. He screamed, a war cry that shook the heavens, and flew straight at Malachur. Malachur grinned, pulling back a fist charged with enough energy to level Mountain. "Come and die, little knight." But Hyperion didn't strike. At the last second, he ducked under Malachur's guard. He wrapped his arms around the villain's waist, locking his hands together in an unbreakable grapple. The blue metal of his suit fused, locking the joints. He had turned himself into a living straitjacket. "What are you doing?" Malachur roared, smashing his fists into Hyperion's back. "Let go. We're going for a ride," Hyperion gritted out. He engaged his thrusters to maximum burn, but he didn't fly up. He turned his body and drove them both straight down, toward the ocean that bordered the city. "No!" Alara screamed from the ground. "He's taking him." She and Jax, desperate to save their master, leaped on a floating debris and chased the streaking comet of blue and black. Hyperion hit the water at Mach 2. The ocean exploded upwards, a geyser of white foam, but the hero didn't stop. He dragged Malachur down through the sunlit zone, where the water was warm and blue, down into the twilight zone, where the light faded to gray. Malachur struggled, his red eyes burning in the murky water. He was strong, but he was a creature of the earth and air. The water was alien to him. It resisted his punches. It sapped his heat. Hyperion's suit was designed for the vacuum of space, so the pressure of the deep was nothing to him. He drove them deeper, past the continental shelf, into the abyssal trench. The darkness was absolute now, save for the blue glow of the hero and the red rage of the villain. Alara and Jax followed, protected by a bubble of force Jax created, but they were slowing. The pressure was immense. The cold was biting. They were just humans with gifts. They were not gods. At the bottom of the world, where the pressure could crush a submarine like a soda can, a structure awaited. It was a black pyramid, silent and imposing, sitting on the ocean floor. The Abyssal Vault, a prison built by the world's governments for threats that could not be killed, only contained. Hyperion, his energy levels critical, slammed Malachur into the silt of the ocean floor right in front of the vault's massive intake doors. Malachur kicked Hyperion off, sending the blue hero spinning into the darkness. The villain stood up in the deep, the water boiling around his skin from his anger. He prepared to swim up, to return to the surface and burn the world. But then he saw Alara and Jax drifting down toward him, weak and shivering. "Master," Alara gasped through her calms. "We are here." Malachar paused. For a split second, his arrogance held him there. He waited for his servants. It was the second he lost. Hyperion emerged from the darkness. He didn't attack Malachar. He swam past him and slammed his fist onto a control panel on the side of the Black Pyramid. "Activation code, Omega," Hyperion whispered. The abyssal vault woke up. Massive gravity generators inside the pyramid activated. A vortex of inescapable force opened up. It wasn't sucking water, it was sucking mass. Malachar roared, digging his boots into the seabed, fighting the pull. He was strong enough to resist it. He began to crawl away. But Alara and Jax were not strong enough. They screamed as the current ripped them toward the open maw of the prison. Malachar saw them sliding past him, and in that moment, the villain made a mistake. He reached out to grab them, perhaps to save them, perhaps to use them as anchors. But by reaching out, he lost his footing. The gravity beam caught him. "No!" Malachar bellowed, a sound that traveled for miles underwater. Hyperion watched, floating silently in the crushing dark, as the three figures, the Ash King and his two Awakeners, were pulled violently into the containment field of the pyramid. The massive blast doors slammed shut. The locking mechanism thudded with a sound of finality. Silence returned to the bottom of the ocean. The abyssal vault hummed with a low, blue energy, sealing the three away in stasis fields where time did not move. They would sleep there, buried once again, not under sand, but under miles of crushing water. Hyperion drifted there for a long time. His beautiful blue suit was scratched, dented, and flickering. He was exhausted. Every muscle in his body screamed. He looked at the prison. He knew they would hate him. He knew that one day, perhaps in another 1,000 years, someone might try to open this door too. But not today. With a slow, painful burst of his thrusters, the hero turned upward. He began the long ascent toward the surface, toward the light, toward the city that was still standing because he had been strong enough to carry the weight of the deep. The villain had red eyes to terrify the world, but the hero had the ocean to save it.